All right, you bunch of yahoos, strap yourselves in for another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity.
In other words, shut up, sit up, and pay attention.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Toxic Masculinity. Here I am with my co-hosts, the great Predator Don Frye and yours truly, Dan Severn. We're here to entertain, enlighten, offend, defend anybody and everybody. So put your man pants on, grab a cup of coffee or your beverage of your liking, and be ready to be infused with some manly masculinity.
And you forgot the twin. You forgot to invite.
Okay, there's our feminine,
feminine aspect of the show.
The feminine aspect of all this toxic masculinity, Quinn. The lovely Quinn. Yeah.
Sit up, Quinn. Sit up, say hi.
And Mr. Frye, would you like to introduce our guest
Yes,
on
sir.
this episode?
Yes, sir. We got a local boy here tonight, people, and he's a local boy from Tucson, and then he escaped and went to Yuma, and then he came back to Tucson, and then he ran off and joined the circus, the Navy, and became a Navy SEAL, and protected our asses for years doing that, and now he's looking to go to Washington, D.C. and protect our ass in a different way. Hopefully, we have soon-to-be Congressman Eli Crane. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, fellas. This is pretty cool. You know, getting to hang out and chat with a couple dudes you used to watch kick ass in the octagon when you were a kid. You know.
Don't say child or kid. Come on.
Well, I mean, I think I was like 5 or something. I'm just kidding, man.
You know, we got done at a pride fight over there in Japan one night, and we were all on the bus. You know, they had all the fighters on the buses go back to the hotel. And BJ Penn says, Don, I used to watch you when I was 12. Fuck you, BJ.
Oh, man.
Well, the fact that you're still here, that's all that matters there, Don. The fact that you're still here, you're still upright, and you're still making your presence known.
Let me jump ship for a second here. I got news that DJ's father passed away here recently, and sorry to hear that, boys. He was a good man.
Our condolences go out to the family.
All right.
Well, way to put a damper here, Don.
Now that we've killed the show, you go ahead and take over, Mr. Severn.
Okay. Well, Eli, today is my first time ever meeting you, so literally I'll be a student from almost like a fan perspective. So Don says that you're born and raised here from the state of Arizona.
Yes, sir. That's correct. I was born in Tucson. Raised about 2 years old when my dad was going to pharmacy school here. Him and my mom were both from Iowa, actually. Came out here to go to pharmacy school, and then
did your dad wrestle? I mean, because I always say because
no,
Iowa is a state of cornfields and wrestlers.
I know, man. He actually played football, and then he brought us out here and got a job in Yuma, Arizona. So we moved from Tucson to Yuma.
He was a pharmacist. He's too smart to wrestle.
Yeah. He was a pharmacist, and he did that in Yuma, and then I stayed there till I was about 18 years old. And then ended up coming over here to Tucson and going to the U of A, and then was starting my senior year down here in school, and then 9/11 happened. I dropped out of school the next week and then joined the Navy, and that started my career in the service and spent the next 13 years serving. And then as we were getting out, we actually moved the family back here to Tucson. My wife's family still lives here in Tucson, and so we moved our business from San Diego back here.
I'm just curious, okay, because you said you had 13 years into the Navy at that time?
Yes, sir.
Because usually, 20 years, and then you can actually retire with full benefits at that point?
Most people, the smarter people do 20 and then they retire, but
nobody's
ever accused me of that. So.
Well, wait a second now. I understand you sold $20 million worth of your company.
Yeah, we've been really blessed. We started a small business out of our one-car garage in San Diego, making 50 cal bottle openers, kind of like the ones you have back there, Don, on the table. And that was back when most people had never seen them. And a couple years later, after starting the business, I was still in the service when we started it, but We went on that show, the Shark Tank. And
I love that program. I watch
yeah,
it all
no,
the time.
it's a great show, and the business just blew up from there, and we started hiring a lot. I had to hire a lot of folks here in Tucson. We went from like 6 employees to 35 employees in 2 weeks. And
Did you get a deal when you were on the Shark Tank?
yes, sir, we did. We got a deal.
Which one of the Sharks?
We got a deal with Kevin O'Leary and Mark Cuban, both of those guys.
Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful. Yeah, he's actually a really cool guy. You know, it was interesting because you guys know, being, you know, on TV enough yourselves, that sometimes, you know, guys have on-air personas.
Yeah.
But
Kevin always kind of reminds me more of, and for professionals, more of the heel type of character, Mr. Wonderful there. But to me, it's like going, he's on there for a reason. He might do this character, but he's got to be a savvy businessman.
oh, he's extremely savvy. He's, you know, and all the companies I know that have gotten deals with him love him. He's a good man. He really cares about his company. So
I just wish they would do more of where are they at now? Because you see people that are on there and they see the deals. Every now and then they'll show a little flashback, but I wish they'd just do 1 or 2 episodes where they simply just show all these different people that have, maybe not all, but the ones that have got deals with various sharks, whether it be 1, 2, or all of the sharks, just to see where are they at now, because I think there's some great stories. I mean, you see more people that are foreigners that come to the United States that they're now on the program. And they're living the American dream to where they had nothing for where they were. They could never even own that company, but now they're here in the United States and they've turned themselves from rags to riches.
yeah, it's one thing I love about the show, you know, and it's another thing I love about the country.
Right.
You know, I saw the stat like a while ago that 1/3 of the millionaires produced in the United States every year are actually immigrants, and I just think that's awesome. That if you come here with the right frame of mind and willing to work your ass off and sacrifice, you know, you can live the American dream. I love it.
But don't you think, okay, because I look at it this way, most Americans simply take for granted all the privileges that we have.
100%.
I mean, we're in this room. We have electricity that works. We have running water that comes out of our tap. We have functional sanitation restrooms and things of that nature.
Which you've proven, thank God.
but the reality is, there's a lot of countries, they don't have water that they could drink. They don't have access to food and health care and the whole 9 yards. And Americans just don't really realize how good we have it. There's, I think I always tell people that having that privilege of being able to travel to so many different foreign countries, I know why people are coming to the United States. This is, as many times as I kind of beat up America, because I want people to wake up, but I beat up America because it's kind of going, there's a reason why everyone's coming here. It is truly the land of opportunity.
100%, you know, and that's one of the reasons that on 9/11 I decided to join the military and, you know, go serve and go fight for it, because I know that freedom isn't free. I know that's cliche. I know we say it a lot, but it's true.
Most Americans, they don't understand that. And they don't realize that, because there's just, I hate to say it, there's a lot of Americans that they're arrogant asses.
Yeah.
And yet, do they have any calluses on their hand? Do they have any dirt underneath their fingernails? Have they ever worked a hard day in their life? I mean, it's, you know, have they ever served? You said you were in college at the time and you dropped, or you were in college.
College, yeah.
How far along were you in your program of study?
I was just starting my senior year.
Really, your senior year? So I mean, literally, that was your final year, and you dropped out.
Yep.
What's your feelings like about today's youth? Do you think that upon high school graduation, do you think they should really just go to college? Or do you think they should take maybe a year or 2 off, go into the military, because other countries, it's mandatory.
Right.
They have to go in for, I think, 2, a lot of countries. And then after that, sure, go on and go into military, or I mean, go back and do whatever you want to college, stuff like that. But see, my 2 cents first, before I come right back to you, my 2 cents is most high school kids, they go on to college. And mom or dad's not there now. So now, without the supervision of mom or dad, they go crazy.
Right.
So now you got all kinds of more excessive drinking, partying, the whole 9 yards. And usually mom or dad's flipping the bill for college.
Right.
And they're not exactly applying themselves. So I mean, I I just think that for 1 or 2 years, mature them. Teach them the fact that freedom is not free.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And for me, I just don't like the fact that it's kind of sold as the end-all, be-all destination, next step for everybody. Because college isn't for everybody.
I totally agree.
I know that there are certain jobs and careers where you have to have that college degree. But however, I see, a lot of these kids getting pipelined into something that was never really for them anyway, and they end up in a mountain of debt.
Yes.
And it's sad. And then even many of them get that degree and whatever, they get their sociology or whatever they get their degree in, and then they get out and they can barely get a job, get a well-paying job, let alone pay off all the the $100,000 of debt they have. And so that's what I wish that more kids understood, that it's not the only way to go. There are many ways to skin the cat. And I also wish the institution of academia didn't push that on our kids like that's the only way.
No, totally agree that every high school kid thinks they have to go to college. It's me, it's like going, no, it's having children. I started to tell my kids as I kind of smarten up to a situation like this is not the way they should do it. It's like upon high school graduation, go get a job for a year or two,
right?
And realize how much you hate your boss. You hate your job. So now when you go to college, you're going to apply yourself. You're not going to be worried about all this partying or all this, that, and the whole other things. You'll be a little more specific what you're looking for. I think we need more people going into the trades as well, because that's something that we're lacking in. We need more plumbers and electricians and just people and all sorts of skilled labor type of situations.
Well, somebody's going to hold the horses, right?
Right. Well, and that's the other thing too. I think that the narrative is that if you go into the trade, you're not educated, so you're not smart. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of young men, young women want that label or that branding put upon them, even though in many cases you can actually make better money going into the trades. And I think you also can have a lot more stability because fewer and fewer people want those careers, but you're always going to have job stability in those careers because you're always going to need a plumber, right? You're always going to need an electrician. You're always going to need, those
we had
those
one
things.
Just earlier that arrived here at Mr. Frye's home.
Yeah, buddy of mine, but hell, Rick Renzi, a buddy of mine, he was a congressman about a decade ago. And we went to the 84 Olympics together in L.A. Anyways, back then, he called a plumber because one of his kids shoved a toy down the toilet, and the plumber came in and says, just pulled it out and, that'd be $75. He's, what? And he says, yeah, $75 to walk through the door. He says, put that damn thing back in the toilet. That's 20 years ago, 40 years ago, shit. Right. And, people don't understand. And when I left college, I went to horseshoeing school, after I was a fireman in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and then couldn't afford to live there, so we left. And I took my wife to my parents' house, and I went off to Oklahoma horseshoeing school, and did their program, and came back, and I made a lot more money shoeing horses, and a lot of people who were teaching the school.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Like you said, trade is not a shame to do a trade job. It's actually a lot of pride in it.
Yeah. And I also wish that, more young people, because I'll admit when I was growing up and I thought I was too stupid to start a business because, I never applied myself in school. I never really got good grades, but I wish that more and more kids understood that was an option as well, because I think that just working for corporations, working for the government, working for myself, I think that's one of the most satisfactory careers that you can have is working for yourself. It's one of the hardest, but I think
it is because you wear all the hats.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, if a lot more people tried to start their own business, you would have a lot more people that would be, respectful of business owners, respectful when they walk in, to a restaurant and aren't throwing silverware in their purse or whatever, because that stuff doesn't grow on trees.
Right.
You know,
Who came up with the idea though of making a 50 cal into a bottle opener?
Yeah,
Who came
I didn't come up with that idea. Matter of fact, I know you guys have traveled all over the world, but my little brother was a pilot in the Marine Corps. He flew helicopters, and he went to the Philippines and brought me back a 50 cal bottle opener from the Philippines. And I thought it was one of the coolest gifts I'd ever received. And so, but I never saw him in the States. And so I was like, you know, I think we could make this thing better. And so I started working on it and made it a little bit better. And then asked my wife if she could help me sell them online, because she was selling stuff online. And she did. And it started to quickly build, and then it, you know, started blowing up, and we were like, holy cow, man, people love these things. So we just kept at it, and then a couple years later we were on Shark Tank.
And you sold $20 million in 1 year, or
no? The highest year we've ever had was over 5 million. But I actually looked into it the other day, and I think we've done over 23 million in sales since 2013.
And you still have that product today?
Yes, sir. We do.
Cool.
Yep. It's called BottleBreacher.com. So it's really just a bunch of gifts, especially for, you know, primarily for men, but most of them are like, you know, big, large caliber rounds that can open your beer, or a grenade that opens your beer, whiskey bullets.
Yeah, I mean, it's great conversation pieces. Stuff
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Yeah. Stuff like that.
It's like when you go to the complaint department, they've got that grenade that sits right there. Go, yeah, take a number.
That's right. That's right.
Well, what brought you then to want to dabble into politics of all things? Because politics is a very ugly field.
Yeah, no, it is. I just love this country. And back then when I joined the Navy, like I said, it was a week after 9/11. That's where the fight was.
Yep.
Today, the fight, I think, is in culture. And one of the verticals of culture is politics. And there's, you know, just because of where I'm at in my life, you know, when you campaign for Congress or whatever you're campaigning for, you don't get paid for it. So you have to have a little bit of financial stability to do it. It has to be something that I think you're passionate about. So I'm definitely passionate about it. And I also have a pretty strong family. My wife has been with me the entire time was in the SEAL team. So she did 3 deployments, holding the fort down, watching the kids. And so we have a pretty strong marriage. And I think that that's a part of it as well. If things were out of whack in my life, there's no way I'd be doing this, but I'm at a place in my life where I can do it. I think it's that important. I think so many of our politicians have, just sold us down the river because they don't have they don't have the character. Mm-hmm. They don't have the courage to step up and do the right thing. And so, looking at myself in the mirror, and I got to ask myself, have I done everything I can to make sure that my kids and the next generations grow up with freedom and prosperity? And if I don't try and do this, the answer is no. And that's not something that I'm okay with.
Now, what about there's a Navy SEAL who's a congressman in Texas. Got the eye patch.
Yep. His name is Dan Crenshaw.
Dan Crenshaw.
We were actually in the same task unit at SEAL Team 3.
Were you?
Yep.
Good. Because he's kind of questionable now, is he?
Yeah, I think he's been upsetting some people lately, with some of the positions some of the positions he's taken, and that's he gets to play this any way he wants to, just like everybody else. And I tell people all the time that just because you're a veteran doesn't mean you're not gonna go astray, or it doesn't mean you're not gonna sell it out. But I will say this, that if at one point in your life you were willing to die for it, it makes it harder to sell out. It sure as hell does. So I do like to see veterans running. I know there's at least 60 veterans running in this next cycle. Yeah. And I think there's at least 7 SEALs running. There's at least 3 to 4 Green Berets that I know of, and plenty of others. And the reason I like that is, like I said, when you're willing to die for it, it does, that means something to you, and it is harder to sell out. But when I look back at the history, possible. Yeah, 100%. When I look back at the history of our country after World War II, over 50% of Congress were veterans.
Right.
And I think that's one of the reasons we were in a better spot than we are today. So.
Again, what do you think about? I'm going to throw just some random questions left and right here at you. But how about term limitations on different people in various offices?
I think it should be a thing.
To me, I look at if the president can only serve two terms.
Yeah. So I don't think there will ever be. I don't think it'll ever happen because the people that have to vote on that are the ones that benefit from not having term limits.
Oh yeah, no. Again, when you see people like a Nancy Pelosi,
yeah, what 50 years?
I mean, she's 80 some years old now.
Yep.
What does she know about the real world anymore?
No,
she lives in a
gated
gated community.
Yep.
And yes, she wants to, but that's I can't say enough bad things.
What you can do, because I'm big on focusing on what I can control and not worrying as much about what I can. What I can control is myself. I've already signed a pledge saying, that I support term limits and I'm not, and that doesn't mean anything if my word isn't and my integrity isn't there. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I don't think I'd want to do more than 3 to 5 terms anyway. To tell you the truth, I never wanted this job anyway. When I look at, first of all, living half the year in Washington, D.C., a place that I don't mind touring the place, but I don't want to live there.
Right.
Been there many times. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, so there's that. And then when I look at, what that job entails, meetings all day long, getting drugged through the mud, having people, trash your reputation, and then, a lot of the things that they have to do, it doesn't seem like a glamorous, glorious, wonderful life to me. It seems like a pain in the ass. Right. However, it's important because so much of how, what governs our lives and what we can and can't do. And like even right now, what's going on Capitol Hill, we have over $30 trillion in debt, and they keep trying to run up the tab. And that affects us big time. It's destroying our dollar. It's destroying our buying power as consumers. And so if I can be in that room, if I can put myself through this, get elected, and then be in that room when the next stimulus package is coming up or the next spending bill is coming up, and I can take a hard no vote on that, that it's just one guy, it's just one vote, but out of 435, votes, if you get enough people that say, nope, we're not going to sell our grandkids out like that, because somebody's going to have to pay for that. That's going to come, right?
Someone's got to pay the pauper. You bet.
Or we straight up go bankrupt, which is probably more likely anyway. But it's just a disaster up there. And I think at the end of the day, the answer is sending more people with courage and character. I don't think it's though I know these things are important. Education's important. Intelligence is important. Experience, those things are all important, but I don't think that's why we are where we're at. I just think that typically the people that want to get into politics, want power, and they're
doing it for selfish reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you're doing it for the good of the country.
Yeah, and honestly, this is also a really bad time in my life. As you guys are both fathers, my kids are 14 and 10 years old. Yeah. This is not a good time for me to do this. No. This is it, and so I feel torn as a dad, but I also believe that I feel like we're at a precipice, like a tipping point, and if we don't reverse course quickly, I feel like it could completely just crash and burn. Maybe there's folks out there that disagree with that, but I just think that the United States of America, as great as it is, can only withstand so much corruption, so much debt. And so much evil. And, I think a lot of that takes, a lot of the epicenter of that is Washington, D.C.
Well, going back to Pelosi, years ago, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I saw once on the news, that train from San Francisco to L.A., $1 billion contract, which is over budget and behind schedule.
Right.
Once I saw Pelosi construction, and then it was gone. It was off the air, So, how the hell does that get $1 billion over budget,
Yep.
And, she's just waxing her own ass,
hate to say it, but when you see these politicians, they get into office and they were only at this level of finances in their life.
Yep.
And then a couple terms later, they're way up here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that
it's
was the difference with
true.
President Trump. He came in as a billionaire, and he lost money
Right.
in the 4 years, you know.
Well,
He was
the
there.
man wasn't taking a paycheck either. I think he was
Right.
actually donating it to
Yeah,
some
he was.
cause or something like
Right.
He was.
that. So, I mean, I look at
was
the,
solid.
do you think Biden is taking a salary?
Yeah. His son is taking a salary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that just goes back to what I was saying about character. And, you know, it's like that's to me, that's the big issue. It's character. I mean, you know,
What you said earlier, though, I still think that there's going to be more qualifications for these individuals that are running for office. I like the fact that you've got a military background.
Yep.
You've actually built an old company yourself. You heard me say before, I want more of these politicians to have a business background so they understand this is the United States. It is still a business. We can't be in debt like this. Sooner or later, someone's got to pay the piper right now. When you got people that keep racking up this bill, it's got to be paid. Do it. They're not doing any true justice to the United States and to its people.
Well,
Especially when you give. There is no such word as free.
Right.
Everything will cost you something.
Yep. Something that my parents taught me. And, but back to your point, it's fiscal responsibility.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think that if we had more business owners, as elected officials, it would be different because as a business owner, you can't just print money.
Right.
You can't print more money. You have to make money, spend what you have. And sometimes you have to borrow money, but you got to pay it back. And that type of fiscal responsibility
in the real world, yes. And using words like responsibility when other people are thinking, no, we continue to spend and, we'll just let it go on to somebody else.
Yep.
That's, and pass on that kind of debt to the next generation. That's not fair. Someone along the lines that got to do the right things. And again, I'm not just saying that the swamp is I think there's a lot more corrupt people in there than what meets the eye, and we need more good people that are doing the right thing. So I like the fact that you're military because, again, as you said before, you understand, what freedom means, and to know that people you once knew, they paid the ultimate price with their life.
Yeah, this is what I tell people because I look at this through the lens of a voter and a citizen first, not a candidate first. And what I say is, hey, this is what I think we should all be looking for right now when our country is in trouble. Look at candidates that have a lineage and a history of doing the right thing when they felt like it might cost them. That's what you want because it's easy to do the right thing when you think you're going to come out on top. And you think it might break the other way, and it's not going to work out for you. That's when that's when you really find out what somebody's character is. And so when you're looking at these candidates out there, hey, if they went to Harvard, that's fantastic. But show me a time in your life where you did the right thing, knowing that there was a good chance that it might cost you. If you can show me a history and a lineage of that, you got my vote all day long. I really don't care as much what Ivy League school you graduated from. And so I think that a part of it is, the people that we send, but a part of it too is as voters educating ourselves and looking for the right things.
Yeah, somebody's be willing to take the opportunity to take the chance to fail.
Yeah.
Like what you're saying.
Yeah.
It could go the good or bad, but if you don't take the chance to fail at something, what the hell when are you showing us?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys both did that. Like I watched both of you guys get in the octagon. What that feel like? Not only knowing that you could fail, but knowing that you could
fail in front of everybody,
get pretty beat up, pretty hurt.
Yeah, it didn't feel good all the time. Thank you for watching another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. You better like, subscribe, and share, or I'm going to come to your house.